Over the last 6 years, I built a multi-million dollar business, but I haven't taken a vacation for 6 years. Before, my vacations look like you go away at 6 a.m., you log on, look at all the tasks, make sure everyone's good to go. There's nothing that's going to fall through the cracks today. Constantly looking at emails throughout the day just to make sure that I'm good, to see if anyone might need me or have questions. Also, being available to step away for calls if someone needs anything, and just generally being available and around in case something's needed. The problem is that I was so entrenched in my business that I could never truly take a vacation. And literally 6 years, I couldn't take a vacation. However, last week that all changed because I was able to put systems and processes in my business to step away. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down two sections of how I did that. First, literally the tools and resources that I implemented, and then how I prepared for the week. So I stepped away from the business for the entire week. That means no calls, no emails, no Slack, no text, no nothing. I had no idea what happened in my business for an entire week until I got back on Monday. I opened up my computer to see what happened. And what was waiting for me was maybe 20 emails for me to review. My team had set up 3 prospecting calls for that Monday, and one of them I ended up closing. And over that week, we actually had a new customer that came on board as well. So to say my team did a great job is an understatement. They literally killed it. And that was the point that I really felt like, man, I have a real business. It's literally running by itself without me every single day trying to tell it what to do. And this has been 6 years. So let's get into these two parts. The first thing is tools and resources that I've been implementing over the past year. The first one is a book by Dan Martell called Buy Back Your Time. And just in general, if you follow him, or you should follow him, if you want to learn more about buying back your time, if you have a business and how to structure it. The reason I like the book Buy Back Your Time so much, I've literally read it probably 4 times in the past year, is because it's very tactical in what you should do. He has this 5-rung replacement ladder, which is admin, delivery, marketing, sales, and management, specifically focusing on admin first. And the reason I like his book so much is because he has an entire game plan of how to hire an executive assistant and let them take over your email and all of the administrative tasks that burden you on the day-to-day basis. And that's exactly what I did. So after about the second time of reading this book, I went in and I said, hey, I need to go in and hire an executive assistant, plug in this framework and start doing this. So this has been almost a year now that I've been running my business with an executive assistant, helping me along the way, helping me manage my emails, helping me manage my calendar, and just keep everything structured. The second tool that I used is a book called Clockwork. And this is by one of the podcast guests that I had on my podcast named Mike McCallowicks, who also has a great book called Profit First that we've talked about on this channel before. But Mike has this book called Clockwork. And this book, Clockwork, I've probably read it about 4 or 5 times. It's more high level thinking of how to run a business like clockwork. And he has this 4 sections in the book that he talks about, which is ACDC. It's an acronym: attracting, converting, delivering, and collecting. And in that book, what he talks about is that you need to have those 4 core areas covered in your business. How are we attracting customers? This is the marketing side of things. How are we converting customers, leads into customers? And that is the sales side of things. How are we delivering the service? And that's how the delivery piece. And then collecting, how are we collecting the money? And between these two frameworks, the Buy Back Your Time and the Clockwork, they pretty much have everything in there. The thing with Buy Back Your Time is that he's kind of missing the part of payroll, who's going to be making sure that all of your bills are paid, all your invoices are paid, all this stuff. And the reason I like the ACDC framework is because it thinks about a couple other things, but it doesn't really give you the strategy on how to execute on it. The other really big part about his book that I like is that he challenges people to set a date out into the future to take 4 weeks off from your business. The reason that 4 weeks is so pivotal is because 4 weeks you have to go through payroll cycles. You also have to go through billing cycles. You also have to have sales or something going on in your business to help it grow. And 4 weeks is, at that point, you have a business that's running without you. It's running like clockwork because everything is working. It doesn't mean that you just go and sit on the beach and hang out, right? There still needs to be leadership and management driving the vision forward and a bunch of other things that need to happen for growth. But overall, the business is running without you like clockwork or like a well-oiled machine. So ACDC, Clockwork, a really great book. One other part to this is that 4 weeks that he talked about, he also says you need to set up weekly time offs. And this was what mine was, a weekly time off in your pain points. So I set it up specifically over like mid-April. because I knew that I needed to run payroll, and I knew that these reports are going to go out, and these reports are ones that are very important for our mid-month reports. So I knew that I had to be stepping away, so that way we had a process in place that doesn't need me for any of this stuff. And then the last resource is from Dan Sullivan. So I'm actually in Dan Sullivan's coaching program called Strategic Coach. I should probably make a video about my thoughts on that program. I think there's some good things. I also think that they're missing some things. But he has a book called Who Not How. And Who Not How is not only a book, but it's also a frame of mind that was I was taught in this book. And the question is, instead of asking how, which is very natural for me, I started asking who. And over the last year, everything in my business, I've been asking, well, who's going to do that when I'm out? Who's going to be doing that when I'm away on vacation with my wife? Who's going to do that when I take these 4 weeks vacations off? Because it has to be without me. And the problem is, in most businesses, mine included, is that I'm wearing 5, 6 hats because I'm like, okay, well, who's going to run payroll? I can just do that. It doesn't take very long. Who's going to process the estimates? I can just do that. It doesn't take that long. Who, and everything is just, you're doing a bunch of random tasks, bunch of random people's jobs, and it's just all patchwork together. That's why who, not how is so important, is because you keep thinking, well, who's going to be doing that? Whose job is that? Not how do I do that? And especially when you have a lot of ideas, it's very easy to get sucked into the hows when you should be working through people, not on things. So those are the tools. If you read those 3 books and you implement what they say, I've read those books probably 3 times, 4 times each, and slowly implementing them because I like to get all the information and try different things. But those 3 books, I would say, if you're thinking about doing this, read those books, implement those strategies. Now we're going to get to the second part of this video, which is what did I actually do leading up to taking this time off to figure out how this business is going to run without me. So the first thing that I did was I went through and audited everything that I do. And Dan Martell talks about this in the book, is like, audit all of your time. What am I spending time doing? And every 15 minutes, he recommends, okay, this last 15 minutes, I did this stuff. Then at the end of a week or a day, audit all your stuff and say, who am I going to give this to? And slowly start to get stuff off of your plate. So I've been doing that for about 6 months now, and specifically the last quarter. So I went on vacation in April. So the first quarter, January to March, I was auditing every single thing that I did. And I was going through and saying, okay, who's going to do that? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do this? Basically preparing my team and giving people things to do so that way it wasn't on me. And there's a lot of people say, okay, well, how do I get this team and who are these people? And I would just challenge you to think outside of the box, because, like, for example, you could hire a bookkeeper for not that expensive and give them more stuff to do. And I mean, not that expensive, for like under $1,000, a fractional type of person to do things in your business. For example, like help you run payroll, help you follow up with your outstanding invoices. There's a lot of people that are fractional, $500, $1,000 that you could bring into your team to help you with all of these things. And in the book, Buy Back Your Time, he says, if you have money to solve the problem, you don't have a problem. You have a money problem, and you're not willing to spend that money to solve your problems. So I slowly started to think about, what am I doing? What am I doing? And at the same time, I started a list, like a Google Doc, that was, if Phil is out, do this. And I went in there and I said, okay, what are people usually asking me about? They're asking about this, 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 and this. And when it boiled down, it was literally probably 8 things that people are asking me on a random one-off basis. Hey, what should I do with this? What should I do with this? What should I do with this? So I literally went through and made a video on every single one. And I gave all the examples of what could happen or what could not happen. And I said, hey, I'm going to be out. So if you need something, here, go here. If this happens, then do this. If this happens, then do this. That way you have a go-to resource when I'm not here that will answer the most common questions that I get. One other part that I put on this list was the company credit card information that went to a Google Doc that only one person had access to. And it was like, hey, if you need the credit card, go here and do this. And if they need to do something, they can spend the money. So I started doing that. And what that allowed me to do was then build out this whole sheet of, hey, these are all the things that Phil does. And these are all the things that, if you need me, go here and watch this. The last part to this was, over the last quarter, I basically operated as if I was out. What I mean by this is, my executive assistant, she was in my email inbox. I gave everything to her. She is running point on it. She's asking me questions about my inbox. Also, with all of the tasks that I was on or doing, I got rid of them off my task list and gave them to my team and said, hey, you guys got to do these things. This is your stuff to do. I can't do it. I'm not going to be available to do these things. and it frees me up then to do other things, focus on growing the business. The last piece is literally as I'm going on vacation, I put up an out of office, and in that out of office, I said, hey, I'm going to be out. I'm not going to have access to email, so I'm not going to respond to this email. My executive assistant is going to be CC'd on these, so if she can respond, she will respond, but I'll be back on this day. So don't expect a response unless she can respond to you. However, if you need help with service, reach out to this person. If you need help with sales, reach out to this person. And if not, I'll get back to you when I get back in town. And I put the icons on the furthest page on my iPhone. And on that Gmail, I got rid of my work email. I logged out of Slack and I said, okay, I'm not going to check anything. We'll see what happens. And as I mentioned at the top, my team killed it. Everything was great. I was so happy when I got back to see that like they held it down. Worst case, there's going to be issues that pop up. It's 1 week. I mean, we can get to it and fix the problems, specifically because all the delivery, the operations in my company is running through my team. So even on a day-to-day, like right now, if something breaks, I don't really know what to do or how to fix it. We have redundancies in team and people on the team to fix these things. But what's next for me as far as taking time off? Like I said in the middle of this, is that just because you can take time off doesn't mean that I'm just going to be sitting around, at the beach or at the pool or something like that. It's nice when you can do that with your family, in my opinion. But for me, I enjoy growth. I enjoy marketing and I enjoy sales. So I'm still working very, very hard to grow the company, set the vision, market the business, and fine tune my team to be the best coach that I can be. And when I do want to take time off, and if I ever want to sell the business or not work at the business, I have a company that's running. And what I found is that when you set up your company to run without you, it's a whole lot better company to run because you feel confident in what you're doing. Your team feels enabled to be able to execute, and they feel like they're building something alongside you, just like I feel as well. So what's next for me? I have a couple more weeks off that I'm going to be taking. Eventually, I'll probably do that month off or 4 weeks off. But I want to make this video because I think even for me, that first 6 years, it felt unrealistic, or like, how can I do this? And I wish I had these resources back then to know, okay, I need to read these books and learn these things and build these processes and systems. If you were listening to this and you're like, okay, that must be nice, or how did you do that, or whatever, put your comments down below. Like I'm an open book, so I'm willing to, I can make another video about this, or I can comment back and share with you like what I did or how I did this. Hopefully this video was great. If you like content like this, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.